Welcome to Beyond. Joining us today is Ken Taylor. He was a cornerback and punt returner for the 1985 Chicago Bears, world champion, Super Bowl winning Chicago Bears. A three-time Pac-10 academic All-American, Ken is a sports speed expert training thousands of athletes who want to improve their speed, quickness, and overall athletic impact for their chosen sport. Ken, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you, man. We've had some good banter before coming on the show, but take us back to early life that led up to your football career. Can you share some stories of how your journey as a football player got started?
Well, as a football player, it gets started as a track athlete.
Okay.
So my father, he always said to me, he didn't care what sport I played. He said, just keep getting faster, no matter what. And my brother, who's 6 years older, he was running track and he was a super athlete. And he was a natural athlete. And I had to kind of be trained as an athlete, which you can do both. And so I always ran track as a little kid. I ran track as a 5-year-old kid.
5 years old.
5 years old, running track.
And where were you born and raised?
I was born in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And but raised in San Jose, California.
Okay.
In an area called back in the day Speed City. So everybody from that area has we have a special pride for that area.
You all had wheels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was one of the ones that didn't have those types of wheels. But we had record holders like Lee Evans, even Bruce Jenner,
Really?
Andre Phillips, Millard Hampton. I mean, just names that you would
Coming out of San Jose.
Coming out of San Jose. John Carlos, Tommy Smith, from back in those 1968 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a whole bunch of athletes coming out of the area. And so I was kind of a product of that area.
So since there was such a prodigy coming out of that area, did they have the infrastructure to train people how to run fast and be fast? Or is it just the blood, the drinking water, whatever it was, that it produced fast athletes?
Can't really speak to that because I was so young. I was just influenced by the mentality of it all and the level of expectation of it all.
Even at 5?
Well, I'd say more like at 7, but yeah, even at 5 as a very young athlete.
Okay.
And my first 50-yard dash, I took second place, and I was very proud of that. I just don't tell people that there were 2 people in the race.
But we all start somewhere.
Exactly. And so that was fun. So, when I started playing football years later, every year I would step on the football field and I'd be, 1 or 2 yards faster. Then I go back into track and I would end up taking, 5th, 2nd, 6th, 4th place, never really winning. Mm-hmm. But then I go back to football and now I'm an extra 2-3 yards faster. And then years and years of cycling that, pretty soon I'm 10 yards faster than everybody in football, and then everybody's calling you a speedster. And it's like, wait, you guys have no idea what speed is. Come on out to track in the spring.
It's all relative.
Exactly. It's
Right.
relative. That's a great way to put it, yes.
So growing up, you had this great infrastructure, a great family support structure, expectations put on you to start honing those skills. And when you were young, were you just running track, or did you play football or soccer? Were there other sports?
Yeah, great question. There was no such thing as there is today, called specialization. Kids today specialize in sports so much that they call it that, specialization. So no, we played all the sports. Played every year. I played football, basketball, track, and even tennis, ping pong, swimming. I mean, we did it all. That's what we did. It wasn't that you couldn't do well in one sport. It was that you need to do well in all the sports. And so basketball was up through high school. Basketball was one of my favorite sports because we were really good at it from our point of view, anyways. Mm-hmm. And track, I was really good. I was a triple jumper, so I ended up being a world-class triple jumper.
Okay.
And then football made sense for my skills for who I was, because I wasn't an Olympic sprinter. I wasn't that fast. And with the triple jump, I wasn't really an Olympian or even a pre-Olympian. I was an NC2A guy, but not that great. Basketball, yeah, I thought I was good, not that good. I went to Oregon State University, and as a freshman, I came in with A.C. Green. And since we're in Orange County, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at him going like, okay, nah, that's not going to happen. So, so football made made a lot of sense for my talent. There weren't that many.
But when
people
you're
that
playing football in high school, you obviously saw that there was aspects of who you were, the game that were standing out. You were a punt returner. You were a cornerback. Were you those positions in high school, or were you receiver, running back?
Great question. I was a tailback in high school all through my youth. Pop Warner football, Powell football. I was a tailback and a defensive back, and primarily corner.
Okay.
And then in high school, I returned punts. I don't remember returning punts before high school. I'm not sure if the kids could punt that well. And then in college, I didn't return any punts.
Just defensive back.
Just played corner.
Corner, okay. So let's talk about football. You know, you're obviously on a world champion Super Bowl winning team, the 85 Bears, and everybody knows the 85 Bears. That at least was born in that era.
That's amazing.
Certainly,
Yeah.
there's a caveat. But did football come easy to you, or were there hurdles along the way on your road to the top?
You know, that's a great question. People have asked that too. Did it come easy? Of course it didn't come easy, but as I kind of alluded to, it was kind of a good fit for my talent and for my position.
Based on your size, based on your speed, based on your athletic ability?
Exactly. So when I was recruited at Oregon State, I was recruited as an athlete. So I actually had the option to play running back, receiver, safety, or corner. And then I saw on the offensive side, well, there's some politics sometimes on the offensive side. And not that I knew what they were, but I knew that that did exist. And then also as a running back in the Pac-10 at the time, I looked at the linebackers, and I looked at my body, looked at the linebackers, looked at my body, and said, I'm going to go to corner.
Yeah.
And so corner was a place where I could start as a freshman right away, and I could make an impact right away. And for my length, you know, I'm a long-legged guy with long arms, and to be that fast as a shorter 100-meter sprinter is a great match.
Gave opposing quarterback nightmares.
Well,
Like, I'm going to drop it on a dime, but then there's Ken Taylor.
I like to think so. That's fun for you to say and fun for me to hear.
Always was
But,
the reality.
yeah.
So what was the biggest challenge early on as a football player? I mean, you obviously got the physical attributes, you got the height, the size, the speed. What was the biggest challenge when you realized this is getting serious?
I think the biggest challenge was really consistency. Being on all the time, every play. You know, because you don't know when the ball's going to come there.
Right.
But you think you do because you have so much experience in the game. And so, you know, you might know it's, you know, 3rd and 2, and the quarterback, you know, the whole flow goes the other way, and then you don't know that the quarterback turns around and throws it right to your guy when you're taking the play off. So it's being alert the whole time, being ready for any and all opportunities that may come.
Now, in the heat of a day, you know, I was watching games this Saturday, and you know, any part of the country, it was hot out there, and these guys are maybe not getting the offense off the field as fast as they'd like, and they're grinding it out. How does heat play a factor in one's ability to stay focused, play in and play out, and not get discouraged on a play that should have been stopped but got a big gain? I mean, what is that like mentally, just to stay on the edge of that envelope?
It is very challenging, and you know, I listen to a lot of talk radio, and it's fun. And what I'd love for people to really realize is playing professional sports is hard. I mean, it is really difficult. For the guys that actually, you know, are fortunate to make it, it's really hard. And then to play for a period of 6 or 10 years, that's even more harder. And then to play like LeBron or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, wow. I mean, it is just amazing how strong those guys are mentally, how strong they are physically, to stay that consistent with everything going on, and then to still be eloquent with their responses to you know, everything else going on the outside.
Right.
And
all the dumb questions you probably get from a lot of reporters, the same question year after year after year.
it's amazing. You are number one in your craft. You know, you're the top 1% in your craft, within your craft.
Yeah.
And then somebody asks you a question about, I don't know, politics or anything other than your craft, and you're expected to give an answer, and then you give an answer that, you know, can be talked about and jumped on. It's just amazing to kind of hear that.
Yeah. And you got to be really adept at that. So how did playing at Oregon State University prepare you to take that jump to the next level of NFL?
Yeah, that's it. That is the that is the thing. At Oregon State, I won, my teams won 6 games in 4 years.
6 games.
6 games.
Wow.
2 Pac-10. We were bad. And I didn't really go to Oregon State to actually play pro football. Their academic program was outstanding for student athletes. It was great. They had this new thing at the time, newer thing called study hall. And I loved that. And I knew I needed that, and I took advantage of it. But funny how when you just keep going, you just put your head down. So the score many times would be done by halftime. I mean, we're out of the game. And so it's the consistent training of keeping yourself in the game. And you go through and you just do what you need to do. Do your job, do your responsibility.
How do you stay positive though? How do you keep that mental edge, that perspective that I'm down 30 points, but I'm motivated to go take that tackle, take the hit possibly?
It goes down to the details, paying attention to your details. That is your job. And that of course relates to business. It's taking care of what you have to do and getting into the specifics, the detail specifics.
Even when you're down.
Absolutely.
Even when the chips are down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you've got a sweep coming your way, and there's a guy called an offensive tackle coming your way, and you have to use a certain technique to avoid, back in the day, a 280-pounder.
Right.
And then you have to realize that, at least for me, the running back is also bigger and stronger than me.
Right.
So we're down 20 or 30 points, and that's coming my way. I better do my job, better do it well. Otherwise, I'm not getting up.
Right.
And so, the goal to focus on the task was not that difficult, but the great training is how that transferred over into, let's say, everyday life, or even trying out as a rookie with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
being able to really focus in, kind of tune everything else out, and focus on what you need to do.
You got to have some mental toughness, I would think. I mean, just going to play football at Oregon State and the demands and the expectations, school, football, you got to have a mental makeup that's pretty special, I would think.
Well, the fun part is being this old and this far removed, this many years from football, it's fun to hear people say that. But back in the day, it was just what we did.
Yeah. So you didn't think about it.
It's just what we did.
Kind of going back to those expectations.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's just what we did. It's and we're doing this thing. And then you turn around and you look, and there's thousands of people that love what you do. And it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who I played ball with, and just taking the older guys and using them as examples, helped a lot. You got to see how they focused, how intense they were, how strong they were, how much they studied. So being prepared, all those things that we know and we've heard hundreds of speeches from, really played a part in.
There's a lot of nuance in the game. I watch these people on ESPN, they'll start talking about the breakdown and what players need to know. There's a lot of nuance on every play, on every set, and everything they're supposed to do. It's not just I play football and I hit somebody. There are design plays on both offense and defense. Or at least on defense, you have to be aware of. On offense, study that opponent the whole week. But it's not just simple stuff. I mean, you got a thick book, and you don't get that right. Coach Dick says, you know what, love you like no other, but you're on the bench. It's real simple.
It even goes deeper than that. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's, man, how do you explain it? It's there are no dumb football players. They just might make a bad decision doing something else. But if you're on the field, especially if you're a starter,
and you're a pro,
you're not done.
Yeah.
Even in college, you're not dumb. You're just not. The speed at which you have to process so much information is insane. I have no idea how those NFL quarterbacks are able to process that much information
like Mahomes.
that fast.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And it changes like that. When I was with the Chargers, we had a play, I would say kind of a complicated defense. I mean, the 46 defense with the Chicago Bears was very complicated. But there was a couple of plays, particularly I remember with the San Diego Chargers, and I'm on the corner and we have a play. And if your guy starts to go in motion, the play changes. When he reaches the slot back, play changes. When he reaches the tight end, play changes. When he passes the quarterback, play changes. When he goes to the other side, your safety tells you the play changes again. All while the guy is flying across the field. It changes like that. So you have these plays in your mind, and that's just one play.
Wow.
And then you must be prepared for, if it's 2nd and 8, now you have these tendencies versus if it's 2nd and 2.
Right.
And don't let the middle linebacker like Mike Singletary give you some hand signal and you're supposed to know what it is.
Right.
You're just looking at him like, yeah.
Yeah, because
okay.
Mike wasn't a wallflower. He was super intense.
He was prepared.
Yeah.
And
he expected everybody to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Absolutely.
So we know that less than 2% of the people that aspire to be in the NFL actually make it to the NFL.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's that much?
Yeah, right. That's fair too, right? It's that much. That seems high, but it's about 2%. So take us through the experience of being part of the '85 Chicago Bears as a rookie. I mean, you came from Oregon State. You had the success of 6 or so wins, and now you're picked up with a team that's going to the Super Bowl, whether you realize it or not at the time. What was that experience like being part of that?
It's weird. I mean, of course, it's a long story, but it's, to say amazing doesn't do it justice. I mean, I come from, Oregon State, which I love. I mean, love my Oregon State brothers. I see them, all the time.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and go to a team that is going in this direction, called the Super Bowl or best in the world, it's just an amazing ride. It's
and did you know when you got there, was that the expectations, or just the years started to unfold?
No, I was just focused on what I had to do specifically on every single play.
Right.
And it was great to be part of something special. I've talked with Mike Singletary before, and it's like, he's like, yeah, you wanted to be part of something special. It's like, yeah, that's it. That was the feeling that I had that I couldn't eloquently, put together.
Because you don't get that every day in life.
No, you don't. And one thing those guys knew how to do was play football. Holy smokes, from Buddy Ryan to Mike Ditka to everybody on the field, they knew how to play football. And that was amazing watching that happen. I mean, there were things that they were doing that was like, oh yeah, I didn't know you could do that. You mean you could sack the quarterback, create a fumble, pick it up and run for a touchdown? Right. Oh yeah, you could be offensive on defense?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Of course. And so it was just...
So is it equivalent of going from an undergraduate to almost a doctoral degree in football when you made that leap to the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, when you're trying to understand the defense that Buddy Ryan had, you bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very incredible defense. There were times where, and people who have seen the 46 defense on, from the stands, there are times when you look and all 11 guys are on the line of scrimmage. And it's just like, you're just looking at the quarterback, and the quarterback's looking at you guys going like, what are you guys doing? And boom, he's off rhythm right there.
Yeah, and now he's thinking, you got him overthinking about what you guys are going to do.
No idea where anybody is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's
so 11 guys up, and then a couple guys drop back, the play starts, and yeah.
And that's just one play.
That's good, as Bush would say, strategery. I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Get in their head and then change at the last second.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
So how would you say Jim McMahon's leadership approach drove the team that year? I mean, he was colorful. He had the headbands, and he's a personality. But as a quarterback that leads the offense, does that also trickle down to the defense? Was he seen as the leader?
Yep, absolutely. Him and Walter Payton were outstanding because I remember Walter told me one time, he's like, dude, relax, have fun. Jim was a respect of, he was a football player first who happened to play quarterback. I mean, if he could have played linebacker, he would have played linebacker.
Yeah, that mentality.
Yeah, he was a tough son of a gun.
Yeah.
And you respected that, and you could see it, and you could feel it from him. You could feel his presence, and that trickled over. It was amazing. You had a mixture of guys who came from different parts, everybody with different personalities. Flamboyant personalities, quiet personalities, but when everybody was on the field, wow,
gelled.
That was just amazing, absolutely amazing.
What was it like to play for Coach Ditka, Mike Ditka?
Oh, it was great. I mean, there's some good stories of watching him, yell and scream, but there's always a purpose. And what I loved about him was he was honest and transparent. this is who he is. This is Mike
understood.
Ditka.
Yeah.
And either you like it or you don't. And either he liked you or he didn't. And if you were there, he liked you. If you weren't, you're not. And so, the level of, respect on those lines, from my point of view, was huge. It was just like, wow, you can, just be who you are and no apologies and go at it 100% and don't stop.
Right.
I mean, that was Ditka.
What made Walter Payton so special?
What didn't? I mean, off the field, he was amazing. Locker room, he was amazing. On the field, there was a time when I was trying out as a rookie, and I was guarding him as a dime guy.
Yeah.
And so you have to guard the running back, the number 2 or 3 running back coming out of the field. Well, I look up, and it's number 34, I think. And I'm like, okay, oh my God, okay, is that Walter? I got to cover him. So he runs at me, and I had a feeling I could cover him. I had some pretty good top end speed. And so if he went an out route, which it would be, I could pretty much cover that. But you know what he did? He ran straight at my head. He just ran straight into my eyes, and all I did was I flinched. He made me flinch. He brought his elbow up, and I was like, he ran off to the side, caught the ball, scampered in. I was like, oh my goodness. So,
wow.
Yeah, he was an amazing guy to learn the game from, and then to take that off the field. And so, I mean, the stories of Walter are well documented.
He's otherworldly strong. I heard he could do handstand across the entire length of the field, there and back, and
Yep, absolutely.
and still play a game.
Yep.
Yeah.
One time he flew into practice on a helicopter, came in, and he got out of the helicopter, and he was already geared up. Jumped in the play and was just killing everybody. Just like, who is this guy? Oh, that's Walter. That's who it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was incredible.
Stories leave up to the legend. So you guys had only one loss season in '85. You guys are arguably the best team ever. And we'll talk about the Fridge in a second here. He's kind of an interesting character. But you guys dominated the playoffs, crushing the New England Patriots 46-10. What did it feel like to have that kind of winning success at the highest level? I mean, you came from Oregon. You won the Super Bowl in a crushing fashion. What went through you? What was that like? Take the audience through that.
Well, I remember when our last game, and we had a bye for the playoffs, and I talked to my mother on the phone, and I said, Mom, we won the Super Bowl before the next 2 games. I'm like, now we're going to win it. We won it. It's over. And actually, I just talked to her a couple of minutes before this, and she remembers that conversation. And it was a momentum that boy, try to stop it. You just.
So you haven't played the game yet, but you guys knew.
Yep.
Just the momentum, the energy, what was going on.
Had to execute, had to follow through. But yeah, it was pretty much. I knew it couldn't be stopped. Even if somebody scored on us, which they really didn't in the playoffs. I don't think anybody scored a point in the playoffs. It's just a train that just couldn't be stopped.
So what was it like to be on the field of the Super Bowl, knowing that millions of people around the world are watching, knowing everybody in the stadium's watching with expectations? How do you get in the moment where you just execute in the play? I know you've been playing all season, but that's a different kind of pressure. I mean, that's got to get everybody genned up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get the adrenaline going. So,
yeah, you're moving a little faster, playing a little harder, thinking a little harder. If I was a quarterback and I was in the game, I would have overthrown everybody by about 20 yards.
Because you're
so jacked up.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm a corner, so it didn't show up that way.
Right.
Although Irving Fryer ran right by me one time, I was like, "Oh, okay." That woke me up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a crazy feeling. I did have a surreal moment, which was we're standing in the end zone, and the starters are about to be introduced, and I'm looking up, and I'm looking like, wow, it looks like what is 1 million people in the stands, and I see 2 goalposts and a football field. I'm like, that is the same field I saw when I was 10 years old, exact same field. But now you have all this wrapped around it, and it's just a surreal moment. And the moment in my mind lasts like an hour, but it was just a thought. Yes, I remember that. And thanks for bringing that. I remember that. I haven't thought about that in a while. And then when the game started, it was just oh, dare I say it? I don't want to insult anybody, but it seemed to me like a formality. And when the Patriots scored 3 points first, it was like, yeah, that's nothing. That's not a big deal, because the defense was just so stifling, and we'd already played them as well. It's funny too, because with the kids that I train, they ask, well, who'd you beat in the Super Bowl? I was like, the New England Patriots. They're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they weren't the same team as now.
Before Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you're able to get in the game. It's pretty pumped and jacked on the front end, but then as the game gets going, things start to settle down. You just get into your roles as the football player position you are. I mean, you have adrenaline, but you're not overshooting the receiver by 10 yards or so. Before the Super Bowl, you guys took part in the now famous Super Bowl Shuffle. And that thing became really famous. It became a mainstream phenomenon.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what
you're talking about. I know
you're
in it. In fact, it was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance. How did this video connect to the Bears fans, and were there any concerns about jinxing the Super Bowl dreams with such a video?
No concerns at all. I didn't realize myself, I didn't really make the connection that, we're singing this song with these words, and it's, when did we do that? October? It was October, whenever the
it was before the Super
Dolphins,
Bowl. Yeah.
Long before the Super Bowl. And Willie Gold, who helped put the thing together, he kind of organized the whole thing. He brought the song into the locker room and said, hey guys, listen to this. And it was like, okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's funny. And he was like, okay, anybody that wants to be in the video, come on downtown, on Tuesday, our day off after the game. So we did that, and I'm a rookie, and not much to do in Chicago for me. I didn't really know many people, so go down there and we have fun dancing around. And I remember Mike Singletary choreographed the moves, so if anybody looks at the moves, blame Mike Singletary. But we had a little dance move in the background, and it was fun, and there was a crew there, a camera crew, and filming everything, and just this elaborate studio. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So we did that for a day, and then literally I'm driving down the freeway to a game, and on the radio, I'm like, hey, there's our song. That's kind of cool. And then about 2 weeks later, I hear the song again, and I'm in my townhouse, and I hear the song, and I was like, wow, they're really playing this song. And then I thought, I don't have the radio on. I have the TV on.
Yeah.
I went to look at the TV, and there we were on an MTV. Yeah. I was like, holy smokes, this thing is going big. Crazy.
Yeah.
And so everybody took to it, and wow, they still talk about it. I was just in Chicago several weeks ago.
Sure.
We were doing an event, in our alumni event for all the generations, and people still remember that. And I got to go and talk to kids at a school that one of my friends is a principal at, and everybody, they remember the Super Bowl Shuffle. Were you in that? And it's like, wow, seriously, that was 34 years ago. Really? Wow. Yeah.
That's what winning does for people.
Yeah, right.
You become memorable forever. So what was the after party like after the Super Bowl? I mean, you guys came through a crazy season, come together, from the camp to the end. What was that after party like? Was it just a joyous, like, this is unreal, surreal? What was that like?
Yeah, it was very surreal, and I remember we didn't, I don't think I slept much after the game. And the after party was a myriad of Hollywood stars and athlete stars. I mean, the Jacksons were there. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Crazy. For the game of football. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is amazing.
Now, be honest, was Dick a little chill after that? Was he the same gruffy, screamy guy, or was he a little more approachable?
Not sure. Can't speak to that because I didn't really see him after the game.
Okay.
And I certainly don't want him coming after me now.
Yeah. Although I think you still outrun him.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a pretty tough guy. That was great. And then, the next morning, we get to the airport, and usually we get there and we can go to our cars. Well, there were buses for us, and we're like, kind of, wiping our eyes off and, waking up. What are all these buses and all these black limousines? What is that? And so we're herded onto these buses and we just head downtown. So we're going downtown to the, celebration downtown.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I'm like, this must be really early because there's nobody on the freeway. I'm groggy. And it's like, they shut the freeway down. They blocked off the freeway so this parade of us could go downtown. Right. We get there, there's like, I don't know how many, 1 million people it seemed like. I mean, they just crowded the buses. It was, we couldn't even get out of the bus. And I remember Ron Rivera climbed through the top of the bus. And so we all climbed through the top and stood on top of the buses.
Wow.
And they were shaking the bus. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing.
Did Michael Jordan come out to celebrate?
Yeah, he was still in the air.
That's awesome. I mean, what a great story. So, natural question, how were you able to keep your feet on the ground after a Super Bowl victory? I mean, some people can take the ego and it takes them to a different place, and other people can take it in context and say, no, we won the Super Bowl, but I stay on the ground, I still work hard, I still have this job.
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah, that's easy. There are so many legendary NFL guys that never got to play.
Yeah.
And never got to play a long time, and certainly never got to play in a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. So, to be grateful of that, and the boys that I grew up with.
And at such a young age, right, that you had that mindset and that perspective.
Sure. I grew up with a lot of guys who worked just as hard as me.
Yeah.
And, we didn't get the opportunity. It's all about creating the opportunity, but the right opportunity, one that you can be successful in. And that's huge. And so, I'm always respectful. I had a lot of help along the way. A lot of people lifting me up, from family friends to my mom's friends to my father to my dad's friends to coaches, everybody, it takes a village to raise a kid, that whole village. Yeah. I can point to my professors in college, just everybody supporting.
So you had really good grounding built into that experience of the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, yeah. For me, absolutely.
So in making the NFL, how much of it is skill versus mindset, presuming the talent is there?
That's great. The word presume is a big word because the talent has to be there. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that the talent has to be there, the skill has to be there, and then the mindset. Because if you have the talent, there are many guys that have the talent that never played in the NBA or the NFL. Many guys that are out there. You have to have the mindset in order to develop the skill to make your talent come out. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that mindset, you cannot zone into the skill that it takes and the skill that it takes for your position in order to show your talent. So just because you're talented, doesn't mean you're going to, actually make it. And so you have to have the mindset. You have to be able to dedicate, the studies, right. And put the time in. Really, put the time in. And not just the time, knowing specifically what to study, what to talk about, what questions to ask. Some of the hardest things for me was not to ask a question. I could do that. It's to find out what question to ask. How do you find out?
You know what's funny? You know who says that all the time? Elon Musk. And this was part of his engineering over at Stanford and the other schools he went to. He said, the most important thing is knowing the right question to ask, not knowing the answer. And that's not always intuitive. So what you said is brilliant.
I completely agree, because when you ask a question, you'll get an answer.
Yeah.
If you ask the wrong question, you'll get the perfectly wrong answer. It's a perfect system.
You'll get the right answer, but it's not going to be any way helpful, right? Because they'll answer it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So can you talk about some of the lessons that you took from football experience that you apply to business today?
Well, that experience of opportunity, creating opportunities. How do you create the opportunity for yourself, for your business, for your company? How do you create that? You have to find out how to make that happen. And then if you have that opportunity, what if that opportunity closes?
Right.
How do you set yourself up to create other opportunities? Can you plan for other opportunities before you even take advantage of the first opportunity, just in case this doesn't work out? Right. So just in case this play doesn't work out, do you already have another play ready to go? And so in my teachings with young athletes, it's how to be prepared, but it's not just prepared. It's what are you preparing for? How are you preparing? What are you thinking about when you're preparing? How are you thinking while you're on the move, while you're in motion? Are you preparing while you're running, while you're accelerating, while you're decelerating? Are you already ahead of yourself while you're making all these quick moves? And if so, you have a really good chance to be successful because you already have the scenarios in your mind of these 3 things or these 7 things that can happen while I'm accelerating, to a spot. So same thing, for me anyways, when I talk to business people, same thing for business.
So it's thinking ahead, anticipation, having a backup plan.
Exactly, and going deep into it. How deep can you get? How detailed can you get with your thought process, with your questions? And so it's, very, as you said, mindset. It's very much mindset.
Yeah.
But knowing what that mindset needs to be and when it needs to be there.
So given all your success, you're known as a doctor of speed, sports speed specialist. How did you make that transition from the NFL into being a speed doctor, if you will, for youth?
Well, of course, long story. But my degree is exercise physiology in college and biomechanics of movement and sports psychology, blah, 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 all these great things. And I used them on myself with the help of great coaches. My triple jump coach was actually from Australia, so he used European techniques. So to make that leap was pretty easy because I was always a technician. And with the triple jump, long jump, any field event in track and field is extremely technical. Hurdling is technical. Discus throw is a technical. Javelin. So it's, again, paying attention to very, very minute details that can affect, the flight of a javelin or your movement. And so when I finished playing ball, I'd go into business and I'd be doing some kind of sales business, and I'd always get in a conversation. And the parent would always ask me, "Hey, can you help my kid get faster and be a better athlete?" And I don't know, let's see your kid. And I'd watch, it's like, oh, his stride is too long, or his stride is too short, or he's leaning back, or he has too much stress, not enough stress. His timing is off. And I always tell the parents, if you swing a baseball bat perfectly at the wrong time, can't hit the ball well. Doesn't matter how strong you are, how many years you spent in the weight room, what coach you had. For that one swing, if your timing is off,
doesn't matter.
Can't hit the ball well. And if your timing is off by a 1/4 inch, it's a difference between a pop-up and off your toe.
Right.
And so same thing when you move, when you run. If your stride is off by 6 inches, a foot, timing is off. So I get a lot of kids that are so busy doing good stuff, they're working hard. They already know how to work hard. They're doing great stuff. But then I look at them and it's like, oh, you're getting really, really good at moving badly. It's a perfect system. And your stride is off perfectly by 6 inches. And you can't bounce off the ground as early as you need to in order to accelerate and create what I've
So
called
speed
easy
can
speed.
be taught with the right technique and the right mechanics.
It's
And
a
you've seen
skill,
it, yeah.
absolutely. It's just a skill. How fast you are is relative, as you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comparison. You know, if you're running and you compare yourself to Usain Bolt, you're slow. If you compare yourself to a third grader, you might be fast.
Right.
So, but every human, as long as you're healthy, everybody can improve their skill.
Mm-hmm.
By how much? I don't know. A lot. So.
So do you work with people in football, basketball, soccer, track and field, a lot of different sports?
Correct. I train from two aspects, and you'll laugh. They're very easy. As much education as I'm impressed with myself, I shouldn't be, because I train from two aspects. One is gravity in the human body.
Right.
That's it. Use those two things well, and if you don't, you can't do stuff here on earth. You can't ride a bike, can't get up off the couch, can't drink a glass of water, can't tie a shoe, can't catch a ball, kick a ball. So it can be taught. We are taught, and people today still give what I call empty directions. And I wrote that in my book. Empty directions are incomplete instructions to a young athlete. They're just not told what to do. Well, kids are used to technical instructions. When it came time to tie their shoe, it's, okay, Junior, make a loop.
Right.
That's a technical instruction. Okay, you can't tie your shoe with your hands up here. You have to go down by your shoe. That's a technical instruction. You can't brush your teeth. When you go to brush your teeth, you don't go in the backyard. Can you imagine Junior going in the backyard? No. You take him, you turn around, where are you going? Come back. Right. And you go into the bathroom. That's a technical instruction. Right. When it came time to catch a ball, you're taught specifically how to catch a ball. Kick a ball, soccer players, train a lot of soccer athletes. You're taught specifically where to put your foot on the ball. For baseball players, you're taught where to put your fingers on the ball hours before you even throw the ball. And then when it came time to run, you know that thing in the middle, that important thing for our sports called running?
Yeah.
People said, go out and run and work hard.
Yeah.
With no instructions.
Right.
And you know,
and that's fair. That's a lot of truth to that.
And, you know, and what about for me? I'm built like a two-guard in basketball. I have long legs. I'm an ectomorph body type. I got long strides. I'm trying to play in a change of direction sport. What do I need to do? I'm built like an offensive lineman. I'm big. I have thick bones. I'm really strong. What do I need to do? And so I've always focused on teaching the skill of how to be better at what you want to do. And our activity happens to be called running, moving, spin moves. Those things that everybody said you couldn't teach. Of course you can teach them. It's just a skill. I didn't say you could throw a ball like Tom Brady. Right. But if you can't teach it, then why are you even throwing a ball? Right. You know, put the ball down. You know, you're not Pele, you're not Messi. Stop kicking the soccer ball. You're not Shakespeare. Put the pen down, you can't write. No, of course we do. We can do it. Can you do it like that guy? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But you can do it better for yourself, and that's all I really care about.
And that's really the standard you should be comparing to. Like, how are you getting better?
Absolutely.
Compared to who else? Because there's always going to be probably someone out there faster or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that could be something.
And I've always said I can teach any kid to run faster.
Yeah. So
any kid.
Talk to us about these incredible books on the psychology of speed, book 1 and book 2. Let me get this back this way. These are 2 books you have that are designed for, I imagine, young student athletes or maybe even for pro athletes. But tell us about the book and how can people get a hold of these books?
These I have to give my wife some kudos. She published this. I married up, put it like that. And I love it. These 2 books, I actually have 3 books. It's Psychology of Speed, book 1, book 2, book 3, because I'm not very clever. So they talk about different things. Book 1 talks about how it's possible. Why is it possible? How we teach. Talks about the scenarios that go on, the chain reactions that happen with a kid when they get faster, how the confidence elevates as you become a faster athlete. Because you can get to the ball. Now you feel better. Coach calls you to play, gives you more opportunity to make more plays. You make more plays, your teammates like you. And it just rolls like that. Book 2 is the drills book, where there are many drills in here. Book 3 is the psychology, more academic. You know, what is the approach? What is the thought process of each athlete? Every athlete brings in, let's say, baggage into a workout. And so we have to kind of decipher that and figure out how the athlete is thinking before they're ready to do a drill.
How can they get a hold of these books?
Contact me at The Speed Doctor, thespeeddoctor@gmail.com, thespeeddr@gmail.com. And I'm proud to announce I have a speed training app that I'm just releasing, which is going to be outstanding. I love it. I can keep track of my athletes from all over the world.
It'll be available on iTunes and...
It'll be available everywhere. And if anybody wants to learn about that, I'll give a free day trial and I'll give you an access code, free day trial. Reach me at thespeeddoctor@gmail.com.
Fantastic.
And don't spell out doctor, DR.
DR. thespeeddr. Yeah.
At gmail.com.
Awesome. Yep. So how does your program impact athletes who've gone through it? So you've actually had some case studies of people that have used it. What have you seen? Give us maybe a couple examples of athletes that went through your program and did what?
Oh, it's amazing. For me, it goes beyond just teaching athletes. It goes teaching them speed. It goes into changing their life, helping them understand that if you put in work, and not just work, but specific work that is targeted for what you want to do, you can take that thought process and apply it to anything in life. So the fun part is taking, let's say, a kid that goes from 7th grade and he makes it into the pros. That's great. The other side is almost even more impressive and gratifying for me, and taking a kid who was, I have a kid who was, kind of being bullied and ostracized because he just wasn't, just underdeveloped, wasn't a good athlete, could never catch the ball. And you teach him how to move, and that it's okay, and teach them some of the juke moves from the NFL that are really easy to teach, by the way.
Right.
And then he makes the team, and the coach calls his play. And I have a kid who scored a touchdown in flag football, and everything changes. The kid is happy at dinner. It creates the whole much happier household.
Changes the whole dynamic.
Absolutely.
Changes the kid's life.
Absolutely. So I have hundreds of guys that I've trained, which I didn't know when I first started this back in the 80s, who are now coaches, and they take these philosophies and they give them back. That is incredible. That is so humbling.
Yeah.
And amazing.
And what a legacy, right?
And fun.
You touch a kid's life, you'll never forget that time you spent with them.
Absolutely.
To change the social dynamic in his life and how, whether he's being bullied now he's getting respect as an athlete. That's, you can't put a measurement on that impact.
And it's not it's not a speech. We've all heard great speeches.
Yeah.
It's, you can do it. You can be the best you can be if you focus. This is evidence. This is real. It's physical or it's not. Either you did this or you didn't. And when they do it, you just see the light bulb go off, and it's just, wow. I mean, it is just absolutely intoxicating.
Wow.
So that is fun, and that has been my fun legacy that I didn't know when I first started doing this, because it wasn't called speed training. It was just called, can you help a kid get better?
Right.
And today, there's a big market and
Sure.
all types of things going on.
Yeah,
But
speed's good in sports. So
Absolutely.
let me switch gears a little bit. Who's that person that's had the most influence in your life? And this is interesting because you're a Super Bowl champion. There's probably a myriad of people that have touched your life to bring you to this point. But is there one person in particular that's had the biggest impact in your life?
I can see that being a tough question to answer because there are so many influences, but it's easy. It's my mother and father. It's very,
Shout
very
out
easy.
to mom and dad, yeah.
Absolutely. My father in sports and academics, and my mom hammering academics.
Good for her.
Just absolutely hammering me on academics, and until I got it. And it took a while, for young boys. Sometimes it takes a while for it to
Right.
sink in. It's like, hey, okay, I get it now, Mom. And with what they don't talk about with academics in high school and college is that, when you get good grades, people give you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People like you, and that's weird. And I talk to kids. I'm like going, okay, as smart as you are, you haven't figured that out yet? Look, if you get a 4.0 or 4.2, everybody's going to give you stuff. They're going to let you borrow their car. They're going to let you do all kinds of things. And they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, you're too busy. You're kind of consumed, aren't you? And so that's fun. So, going into college, I always wanted to be, the academic player. And that was great. You get voted team captain, and I got to play 2 sports in college, which was great. So, after my freshman year, I was on my own because they knew I could take care of myself, and I had a lot of freedom and just met so many, incredible people that I have relationships now today.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can go back, what are 1 or 2 pearls of wisdom that you could share with the audience based on your life journey thus far, that if they took those 1 or 2 pieces of advice, it can really improve their personal and professional life?
I've heard you ask that before of others, like, wow, pearls of wisdom from me. Right.
And you're giving them through these books.
Well, I think generally speaking, so, there's athletes and then there's general, right? So generally it's, stay in it. If there's something that you dream about and something you want to do, if it makes sense, if it helps others, if it hurts others, don't do it. If it helps others, go for it. Figure it out, and sometimes I hate talking like this because it's like, it's for me. It's like, I need to get to work. I need to work harder. But that's the biggest one. And, for young athletes, I have so many athletes that are so busy, they're so consumed doing good stuff. They're doing weightlifting, they're doing box jumps, they're working out, they're doing conditioning drills, they're studying. And they're so consumed within what they're doing and many times within their sport that there's no time to become a better athlete. And we know better athletes do better in that sport. And when you do better, boy, you feel better, and you have more options and more opportunity. And that's what I want to help them create, is in their mind, deep in the background, be an opportunity creator. And that way you have more choices in life. And many kids are smart. These kids are so smart today, they're smarter than me by far. they're making good choices, but what they didn't realize is that there's a ton more choices and options out there because they're so busy on choice A,
So
B, and
maybe
C.
balance perspective a little bit.
Absolutely.
Approach.
Create a bigger perspective
Yeah.
and then balance it and then make a better decision.
Sage advice.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if you can go back and give yourself advice, what would it be?
Well, it's to share. Share. I'm looking with my speed training app to share more of what I do. There's a lot of people out there that I can help. There's a lot of parents out there that I can help. And my speed training app can do that, can help the parent be the hero for the child. And I want to help create that bond and be more special.
Nice.
And that's a real thing, right? And you can imagine a 9-year-old learning from dad, and then dad has this wisdom that he got and has transferred it to his kid, and his kid got successful, and then bam, there's that bond. That's something that goes way beyond me. And I need to get more out there. So I'm making an effort to get out there through social media, through whoever's interested and curious about the program. And if parents really knew how I train from the athlete's point of view, it's not about conditioning drills and making them work hard. They're already learning how to work hard. It's about helping them understand how to move their body, how to organize their thoughts while they're in motion from their point of view. Mm-hmm. And that's what's huge. And so if I could give myself advice, need to keep pushing to get out there, get it done.
Yeah, they could be doing that your whole career, though. Pretty successfully, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to share with the audience that we haven't covered?
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job in covering it. I just feel extremely blessed and proud to have served so many athletes and so many families, literally thousands of them. But as we just said, nobody really knows my story and knows how I've been able to help and influence families for good. And if there's any wisdom that I can put out there is, if you have an opportunity to do that, do that. Let's it sounds corny, but let's make the world better by helping other people do good and do better for other people, and then that'll just kind of roll on itself. That's my belief, anyways.
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
a lot of negativity out there that's always publicized. Yeah. There's so many negative things that are put on athletes that you see on television, and there are hundreds of athletes per day out there doing good work.
Doing great stuff. Yeah.
Charities, hospitals, children's hospitals,
Right.
Canine service, just all types of the Warriors, just all types of stuff. And where are those guys? Let's get those guys out in the front and show people what they're doing as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And hopefully this show will help promote a lot of the great work you're doing. And so why don't we tell the audience where they can learn more about you again? Where can they find out about Speed Doctor?
The Speed Doctor app is at thespeeddoctor.com, or excuse me, thespeeddoctor@gmail.com. Okay. So send me an email and just say you saw me on your show, mention Bobo, okay, and we'll have a conversation. I'd love to learn about your athlete and talk about what they're going through. I just spoke with a mother today who has a athlete that's in college, a freshman, and one of the things was the coach said, you get on the field, you need to be faster. So I spoke with her and she was like, yeah, she is working hard. She's conditioning. And it's like, well, she's organizing it perfectly wrong. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a perfect system.
And sometimes all you need is a degree course correction to change everything. Because that 1 degree after you're flying a plane, you want to go to Catalina, you're going to end up down in Mexico.
Good.
So that 1 degree course correction makes a big difference. Ken, man, thanks for sharing your story.
And
inspirational.
I got to thank you for doing what you do. I've seen your stuff. It's great stuff. I appreciate that.
No, man. Pleasure's all mine. Your story's very inspirational. A lot to be proud of. Your parents have done a phenomenal job in raising such an amazing person that's touching all lives. So thank you. Thank you for that on behalf of the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's it from Beyond. You can reach us at Beyond Ben Bobo on social media and our website, beyondbenbobo.com. And again, until next time, remember, becoming is better than being. Thanks, man.
Outstanding.
That was awesome.